The past does not equal the future. It doesn't matter that I abused my body with stress and being a workaholic and alcoholic for a quarter of a century. I'm here now, a very, very different man. And with the right nutrition and the right change in my behaviors, I have undone the damage as far as I can find it with modern, techniques in 2023. All the damage is undone. And I now can actually go out there and further look after my body and start living a life where I truly can focus on leaving a legacy.
Hi, I'm Barb Nangle. I want to welcome you to my podcast, Fragmented to Whole, Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery, where I help people heal their emotional, psychological, and spiritual wounds and make deep, lasting changes in their lives. I'm the founder and CEO of Higher Power Coaching and Consulting. I'm a boundaries coach who specializes in helping women who are focused on what others are thinking and doing and neglect themselves in the process. And I have coached hundreds of people on how to build healthy boundaries using my exclusive Build framework. On this podcast, I share my experience, strength, and hope from recovery. I don't support or endorse any particular 12-step recovery fellowship, and I don't claim to speak for any particular 12-step fellowship. I also don't believe that 12-step recovery is the only way to recover. You might need additional help. I'm an avid beachcomber who collects sea glass, shells, wood, and stones. I am a formerly closeted fan of the Hallmark Channel, especially the Christmas movies. Hello, Christmas in July. I wear fingerless gloves from September to June because my hands are always cold, so I have about 15 pairs. And I get a huge kick out of counting how many days, weeks, and months there are until my birthday or Christmas at completely random times of the year. My hope is that you'll find my words concretely helpful in improving your life, whether you're in recovery or not. If you like what you've heard on this episode, please screenshot it and share it on your social media and tag me at Higher Power Coaching. This is episode 220 with guest Stephan Neff. The past does not equal the future. I'm really excited today to have Stephan as a guest on my podcast. I met him several months ago. I really don't remember how long ago, somehow through the world of podcasting or recovery. And I was a guest on his podcast at that time. And we've just now rolled around to the time when I'm able to have him as a guest on my show. He has an incredible story. And what's kind of thrilling to me is that I'm in New Haven, Connecticut on the East Coast of the United States, and he's in New Zealand. I believe we are 17 hours different. And I just love the idea that, we're two fellows in recovery connecting about recovery on completely different sides of the planet. So without further ado, Stephan Neff, take it away, Stephan. We'd love to hear your experience, strength, and hope of recovery.
Bob, thank you so much for having me as a guest on your show. It's an honor. It's a privilege to share my story with you. It is bizarre, isn't it? How we can connect when we, first of all, try to connect. Because that's as alcoholics or addicts, we are so bad in that. We are so living such a secreted and secluded kind of, spy life. And it's just weird. And nowadays, here we are, being transparent, being open, being honest, living an authentic life, showing responsibility for our actions. It is beautiful. So no, this is an amazing life that I'm living now compared with the darkness that I experienced in the past. But of course, it never starts with that. We are not one day sort of saying, ooh, I really want to go into the darkness. Well, unless you're sort of Frodo in Lord of the Rings or something like that, then okay, you go for a dark adventure. But no, I lived a relatively normal life, quotation mark, as a child. Having said that, born on the wrong side of the tracks, single mum, latchkey child, poor male role models. So yeah, and alcohol was ubiquitous. But it didn't really tempt me. I didn't really have a drink when I was younger. So no. age 13, I ended up focus of a gang assault. Just wrong place, wrong time. And that was a huge turning point in my life. I ended up with several immediate experiences there, i.e. the threat to my life. I then the gang moved on. I don't know what they did, but they were just buggered off. And I walked into the train, the local train in our town. And the person who drives the train in the front saw me and looked away. And people in the train saw me and no one came to help. And so I made my way to the hospital. And it was, I think probably there, I knew that there is no one out there to help you. There is no help. From now on, you're gonna be it. And that was the first realization. I mean, this was what, 70s. PTSD had not even been invented as a term, and there was certainly no help for me. The bruises were still on my face when I started training with the German law enforcement agencies. You could go into their sports clubs, enroll, and train the martial arts that was taught at that time to the police. Basically a very good system of judo, karate, aikido, taking the best out and creating a system where ultimately you can either subdue a drunk teenager or kill someone on the battlefield. Everything was in there. And it suited me to the point, and I became Rambo. For the next 4 or 5 years, I became Rambo. I displayed with hindsight all the typical PTS symptoms and behavior. And I just kept going. I didn't see any other way. And I had put the gang leader behind bars. He had threatened to kill me when he came out 3 years later. So for me, it was clear in my simplistic, juvenile mind that I'm going to be life and death fight in 3 years' time. So that's how I behaved. And it had some advantages. From the little pudgy boy grew quite a good specimen of a man. So physically, cool. Mentally, broken. And then I went to university. And that's really where the alcohol started, because I found the most beautiful relief. One Saturday lunchtime, I was sitting with 2 study friends in a beer garden. Very romantic, beautiful setting, huge oak, sunshine. And we all had a liter of beer pretty much on an empty stomach. And suddenly there was this wave of peace and of dopamine and of joy coming over me. And I loved just that beautiful, deep belly love. And that was the first laughter that I had for pretty much 5 years, because the gang had beaten out all my front teeth. So, as you can imagine, as a young man, for crying out loud, I had temporary kind of things in there that kept falling out and was awful. I probably didn't love whatsoever for 5 years. And then suddenly this alcohol gave me the release, gave me this, beautiful feeling. And that was it. I was hooked. I didn't realize it then, because again, alcohol was everywhere, especially student life, for crying out loud. And we had some fantastic parties. So alcohol was really a good friend for me for quite some time, probably about 10 years. But I had not learned ever to deal with negative emotions. I drowned them. I escaped my reality. And that only works for so long. And in all fairness, the shit show of my life continued with lots and lots of additional traumas. So life didn't become easier. Maybe I didn't make it easier. I had not yet learned to be responsible for my life. I was only responding to the things that happened around me. And that was just sort of weird with hindsight. Because so many things happened to me, and the way I saw it, others were responsible for that. And there was a huge amount of resentment in me. Huge amounts. And over time, I developed this very weird, oh, look what they have done to me. I will show them. I drink a whole bottle of vodka now. Ha ha! That will show them. And it's just, what the hell? But I didn't see it. It's just this resentment was the anger and resentment were ultimately the key negative emotions that rode me. Together to a lesser degree, shame and guilt, and sort of a whole other sort of, the four horsemen of addiction kind of thing. And it was just, oh my God. And luckily, just luckily, I remained a functioning alcoholic, whatever oxymoron that is. So I kept a job, I kept a marriage, I did not have any DUIs or anything like that. I always had a respect for law. So no, I didn't turn into a real asshole when I was drunk. So that spoke in my favor, but that was the only thing. But ultimately, it is my wife, behind my back, organized an admission to a rehab hospital. And that rehab hospital really saved my life. No two ways around it. It was the most humiliating and embarrassing thing. At the same token, I was glad that I finally could stop hiding and running and escaping. And that was so beautiful. I didn't see it when it happened. Down the line, I saw it. And that hospital, gotta love it. I mean, it was Capri Hospital in Auckland. It's no longer in existence. So unfortunately, what a shame. I would be standing on each corner and would make advertisement for them had they still been around, because they were so fantastic. Pretty much everyone in there was an addict. Everyone, bar, I think, 2 of the visiting doctors. Everyone else, from the caseworkers to the nurses to the yoga instructor, they were all addicts. At one stage in their life, they had been where I was. And that was the amazing, amazing thing. So I absolutely loved that. And it was bizarre, because I could see that they all had ducks in a row. Whilst me, I had squirrels which were on ecstasy, dancing in a rave party. That was my life. My goodness. And then that's where my change happened and where my life actually changed. Having said that, you can't just undo, 25 years, quarter of a century of drinking. So there were sort of physical changes. No doubt my liver had taken a hit and was taking continuous hits, shall I say. No doubt my gut microbiome was shredded. I was significantly overweight, obese, and it was all, oh my God. But when you go into a 12-step program, you learn so much. And I guess for me the biggest thing was the connection. Also the ability to whistleblow. Remember, I mean, there were institutions and there were people who had done me wrong. No two ways around it. But contractually, as a doctor, as well as in many other parts of your life, you are contractually bound to not say a word. There are gag clauses in virtually every contract you write. So here I was in a safe environment where I actually could tell the truth. And my God, I was singing like a canary. But it started with the kind of, hi, I'm Peter, I'm an alcoholic. Hi, I'm Susie, I'm an addict. And then there was a pause and I realized, oh shit, it's my turn. And so I stood up and said, well, I'm Stephan, I'm an alcoholic. The moment I said that, a release happened. I don't remember anything from the next hour because I had spoken the unspeakable. I had come out, literally. And it was, wow. Yeah, the next week thereafter, it was just blah, blah, blah. I told my story. But the story was still tinged with resentment big time. And that is where the step 4 comes in, where actually someone guides you to do all these beautiful long lists. He did that, and that is how it made me feel. And I wrote lists and lists. And my caseworker actually asked me to write a letter to a certain organization in which I could outline all the things that went wrong. And I wrote the whole night, and next day I came there. Yeah, come on, let's talk about them. I can tell you stories. And she sort of looked at one page, looked at another page, folded it, and put it to the side, and said, brilliant. Now let's talk about you. And I said, but. And it was, I was angry with her. I was steaming. But over 3-4 days, my anger's just resided and it is receded, or whatever the word is. And it is, I began to see that maybe, just maybe, I had a role to play in some of those kind of things. The problem of those, of course, is it swings the other way, that you say, I'm the alcoholic, everything that has ever gone wrong in this world is my fault. So it is, even nowadays, I need to be careful that if there is something going wrong, that I not automatically blame myself or take responsibility for everything, but actually have a far more stepwise approach to things happening, where I say, well, first of all, is it actually true what I'm just perceiving to happen? If it is true, have I actually really caused it, or has it nothing to do with me? And I'm just a recipient of some incompetence at work or some whatever it is. And most of the time, I now have got a far better handle on myself and the role I play within the systems in which I find myself. But that is, you're talking now 9-10 years down the line. And this is, nowadays, I'm just such a different man. But all that, it just doesn't happen overnight. So guys, for you out there listening, it all starts with tiny little changes. And one of the change, I guess, will be that you're actually saying, no, thank you very much. I will not have a drink now. And maybe do something, whatever it is, at that moment, to distract yourself, to do something. You might decide to go rather have a shower, or make yourself something healthy to eat, etc. So it's the tiny little things that you need to learn first, how to deal with the ongoing challenges. May that be a craving, may that be any other emotions that you are finding hard to deal with. This is all practice. This is all something that you can learn. And it is like you going to a gym. The first time you go in there and you look at the lightest weight and you can barely lift it. Well, 6 months later, you are throwing these weights around as if they're little cotton wool balls. So you can learn how to be a human being. You can learn how to be a person who is going out there and living a life that is worthwhile living, that is even leaving a legacy. But that takes time, and it's the little steps, but consistent steps. I often talk about the 5-minute gardener. Imagine you have got a garden, and from now on, you decide that every day you will spend 5 minutes in the garden. Never less, never more. 5 minutes. After a week, you see changes in the garden. After a month, your family thinks, our garden looks nice. After 3 months, there are going to be bus tours going along your property who are looking at your garden and saying, whoa. Okay? So 5 minutes, never more, never less. Imagine you do that for your, let's say, sobriety. But again, this is actually quite a big thing. Sobriety is a bit vague. So to be a bit more specific, your nutrition. So 5 minutes. Maybe you do some meal prep. Or maybe you go shopping and buy something much, much healthier than otherwise. So every day, 5 minutes, you focus on your nutrition. You do hydration as a next step. You look at your sleep and see what can you do there. So you're basically ticking off all the basic human needs that, if not met, lead you into a state of survival. And my God, something is going wrong, because your body knows, hey, I haven't had a molecule of water for I don't know how long. My God, I need something. But what your brain hears is, oh, I need alcohol. I need alcohol. So, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Okay? That helped me hugely in the first year. And if I had 2 of them, I was at risk. 3 of them, oh my goodness, I could imagine a drink. 4 of them, I had visions of a beautiful crystal glass with a amber-colored Chardonnay in there. I could smell it and I could see the condensation on the outside. Okay? So that was setting myself up to fail. So I quickly learned to satisfy the human needs, hold, and that was a big breakthrough. And then I became more willing to actually implement change. And I looked at those things that I could control. And being a medical doctor, I said, well, okay, come on then. Let's see what the damage is that has been done. So the liver was the first thing. And of course, my liver function tests were still a bit off. So I started looking after my liver. And there are ways you can do that with healthy nutraceuticals, etc. And you could do an ultrasound, and you could see how much is there cirrhosis, how much is there fatty liver disease, things like that. So I started tackling those kind of things, and that is really where the nutrition comes in. And that's where a functional medicine approach or a really savvy nutritionist can make all the world of a difference. And I did that. I put a lot of money into it with testing and then with the right stuff to take, which I continue until today. So from that more or less abused wreck of a man, the phoenix burned, and out of the ashes came a different man. And that man nowadays is 56. That man should be more or less having one heart attack after the other, because genetically that's what my father had. So, I'm a sitting duck for it. Well, I did a clever calcium score testing where they basically do a CT scan of your heart, and I've got the coronaries of a baby. And I thought, now that's funny. My liver function tests are healthier than ever, even healthier than when I did not drink. As a youngster. What else? My brain is sharper than ever. There's so many things in my body that have changed. My gut microbiome is completely restored and is nicely versatile. So I check a lot of things and have run tests on me, basically using myself as a guinea pig. And I'm astounded how I'm looking from the inside. And that truly proves to me the past does not equal the future. It doesn't matter that I abused my body with stress and being a workaholic and alcoholic for a quarter of a century. I'm here now, a very, very different man. And with the right nutrition and the right change in my behaviors, I have undone the damage, as far as I can find it, with modern, techniques in 2023, all the damage is undone. And I now can actually go out there and further look after my body and start living a life where I truly can focus on leaving a legacy. And that is the beautiful thing. The purpose, becoming sober, getting sober is only the start. You're sober, now what? I have learned more and more about my emotions, and I continue to do so by engaging with my guests, by going out on a limb and actually just talking off the cuff, honestly. So my brain will have today, in this interview, chosen some words, some just peculiar little ways of expressing it that I had not heard before. And suddenly my ears hear these words and I think, didn't think about it this way before. So whenever you connect with someone, you grow. And that is what I'm seeking out, both in my show as when I'm a host, but also when I put myself out there as a guest. Because it allows me to grow. It allows me to show up. And 80% of success is actually showing up. So here you are. Bob and me this morning were both not our best. And so we could have easily said, nah, forget it. No, but we decided, no, fuck it. We're going to go out and actually make this happen. Because we believe in the power of taking action. We believe in the power of making the most out of every second, even when maybe you're really not so in the mood. But if you actually just gently encourage yourself, don't beat yourself up, but gently encourage yourself to actually show up and make the most out of it. Now that is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You said so many things, Stephan, that really touched my heart. And I felt myself getting teary-eyed a number of times. I think I want to start with how you opened, which was that here we are connecting on opposite sides of the world because we're fellows in recovery, because we're fellow podcasters. And that is the opposite of what we did when we were addicts, because we were so good at isolating. Mm-hmm. And I knew both of those things. And I knew that, like we say in recovery, we're protected when we're connected, and connecting to reaching, like for me, reaching out is like my number 2 tool of recovery. But putting those two together, like the antithesis of isolation is connection. So that was really beautiful. And I loved how you talked about HALT as really learning how to take care of yourself as a human being. And then you talked about like making teeny tiny changes. And one of my favorite quotes is, consistency in small things is no small thing. So the 5-minute gardener, fucking love that. That is so beautiful, because if you spend 5 minutes working on something every single day, it can't help but get better, and it's sustainable. So that's making me think. I have a friend who is 61. She's a yoga teacher, has been for 25 years. And 20 years ago, she said, what am I going to be able to do when I'm 86? 6 sit-ups. She does 6 sit-ups every day, because she knew if I can do six sit-ups, now I can sustain. What is sustainable? And so we get out of that addict thinking, I have to do black and white. I have to run a marathon or do nothing. And it's I'm going to do 6 sit-ups a day.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
This all or nothing, And,
yes.
But also we could talk so much more, but we don't have the time. But these inner voices, how do you quiet those inner voices that tell you, oh, you're a failure, you're bad because you haven't run your marathon? And you just, oh, come on, shut up.
Yeah. That's why one of my favorite sayings that I learned in recovery is info, not ammo. So when you learn these things about yourself, when you have those thoughts about yourself, it's information to learn and grow from. It's not ammunition to beat yourself up. And even though I always had high self-esteem and sort of liked myself, when I got in recovery, I realized I was almost always scanning the horizon, looking for reasons to beat the shit out of myself. And so when I learned info, not ammo, I'm like, oh, that's right. This is info, not ammo. And that, that really helped a lot.
Brilliant.
So clearly we could talk forever, and we don't want to, people are used to my episodes being 10 to 20 minutes. So my guest episodes are significantly longer. I don't want to take too much time, but I want you to tell people about your book and all the fabulous things that you do, all of the places that they can find you. If you have anything in particular you're promoting right now, feel free to do that. And then I will also put all that stuff in the show notes so people can just click on the links. And so tell us what you want us to know.
I want to make a change. I want to leave a legacy. I want to impact 1 million lives. And the way I do that is really with my show, My Steps to Sobriety. So, and where can you find me? Well, if you look Steps to Sobriety on the internet, then pretty much you find my social media channels. You find my website, mystepstosobriety.com. And that's really a very good place to start off with, where you can see the various things I've done or I'm doing. We've got a number of books out. Behind me is my Steps to Sobriety here. So that is just being rewritten. So that is coming out at the moment with the editor in its 3rd edition. So just hold fire for a little bit there. One recent book they've done is Depression Light to Me, where I've brought 14 storytellers, female storytellers together who describe their stories and their experiences with this beast of depression.
Excellent title. Yeah, love that title. Oh my God, yeah.
I strongly believe that if we start earlier in creating strong human beings, we don't have to repair broken adults. So this is a children's book I've written with Belinda Manna, and it is about a little mouse who is very vivacious and having a great time. But being vivacious, she also annoys her friends who are very upset with her from now and then and angry with her. And she has to ask herself, is she a bad mouse or has she done a bad thing? And in this book, you can explore the difference between being a bad person and maybe just doing something that is a bit silly and is upsetting people.
I love it. And what's the name of that one? What's the name of the children's book?
Esme, the Mindful Mouse.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. I think you're right. We will, if we raise up human beings that know how to deal with their emotions and how to own what's theirs and not theirs, then we don't have to fix broken adults. Very well said. There was one other thing that you said that I remember that I wanted to comment on, which was sobriety is just the beginning. And that you want to leave a legacy. And for me, I have realized my purpose in life is to carry the message of recovery to those who still suffer. I do that in a variety of ways, including my podcast, but also as a boundaries coach. So I'm no longer purposeless. And I was given that purpose by 12-step recovery. And I take step 12 very, very seriously. And so it really, has made all the difference in the world. So you're right. Sobriety is just the very beginning. Like getting sober is amazing. What you can do with it in the years to come is just incredible. It's
Absolutely.
Just incredible.
But also it humbles you. You know you have been in the darkness. So now you appreciate the light so much more. So no. Guys, come along onto the journey. We have got all. Yes. I mean, it's just Barb and me are just a little bit further down the line than you. So come along. Have fun.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And again, I'll put all Stephan's contact stuff in the show notes.
I was recently reminded by a friend that when I first started recovery, I didn't feel lovable. I almost can't believe that I used to feel that way and that I kind of forgot something so profound because I truly love myself now. And I want that for everybody. If you don't love yourself, there's literally nothing that can make up for that. I created something exclusively for my private clients since many of them don't love themselves. And I've now opened up my private vault to share it with up to 10 people individually. It's called the Self-Love Sprint. You'll grow to love yourself and truly feel worthy so you can stop saying yes when you really want to say no. Stop neglecting yourself and putting everyone else first. Stop saying all kinds of nasty shit to yourself. That is not what people who love themselves and feel deserving do. You'll stop being afraid that others will think that you're selfish for taking time to care for yourself. This is also for you if you don't really know who you are because you've always been such a fucking chameleon. Go to higherpowercc.com/love sprint. Remember, I'm only offering 10 of these, so don't wait. If you like this podcast, and I'm guessing you did or you wouldn't still be listening, then you're gonna love the other things I have to offer. If you'd love pre-release podcast scripts and episodes before anyone else gets them, or if you'd love access to content from my private vault that I developed exclusively for my private clients, which is like having a work session with me without me actually being there, go to patreon.com/higherpowercoaching. There are 3 tiers ranging from as low as $4 up to $24 a month. You'll also love my weekly newsletter, Friday Fragments, which has content very similar to the podcast. You can check it out at fridayfragments.news. That's fridayfragments.news. Please like and subscribe to my podcast on your favorite podcast outlet. I'd also love it if you'd leave a review, which you can do either in the show notes or on Apple Podcasts. It really helps other people find my podcast so they can get the benefits you've gotten from listening. If someone came to mind when you listened to this particular episode, please share it with them. And my favorite place to hang out on social media is Instagram. I'm at Higher Power Coaching. Please DM me there. I'd love to hear what you got from this episode. I run group and private coaching programs on building healthy boundaries. Whether you need help with boundaries in your personal, professional, or romantic life, I can help. Head on over to barbchat.net, where you can hop onto my calendar for a free 30-minute Better Boundaries consultation. My ideal client is someone who is ripe for change. If that's you, I would love to work with you. My goal with all my work is to help you make lasting changes in your life, like I've made deep, lasting changes in my life. Remember, it's never too late to recover. No one is beyond hope, and healing is possible. Thanks for listening.